Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. A Guardian media investigation, or as I call them, Kakash Media, revealed that the Water and Sewage Authority hired 9 social media influencers as part of 416 new employees engaged between April 29th and November 30th, 2025, following the general election. Sources indicated these influencers with a collective monthly salary, listen to the word collective, of $85,398.92 were utilized by the Corporate Communications Department to counter online criticism, despite allegedly lacking qualifications for core utility operations. Minister of Public Utilities Barry Padarath stated the individuals were on short-term contracts to address manpower gaps. Other supporters of the government and so forth are also saying that the requirements or the qualifications to work in WASA isn't really much in the first place. And remember, it's just basically, I don't know if they got actual, it seems as though they were actually doing certain jobs, whether it's maintenance like cleaning and whatever, I'm not sure. But if it is, it's just like they are well-known activists, and if it is the WASA wanted to use them in order to be able to promote or speak on behalf of them online, I don't see what's the problem with that. I believe that PNM used to be doing it as well. My response online, for what I remember, one PNM Patriot, and I just wanna, you don't know how many others there were. One PNM Patriot received over $30,000 monthly as a communication consultant. Now, the only difference is that they could say that that particular Patriot, I wouldn't mention the name, but that particular Patriot is probably qualified, and these individuals are not. But as I said before, a lot of times, once you become an influencer and you have tens of thousands of followers, it doesn't really matter about your qualifications anymore. It's the amount of people that you can reach on your social media platforms. That is common sense. And that is something, of course, we're lacking here in Trinidad and Tobago, not just on the PNM side. We're lacking common sense on the UNC side as well. But we are speaking about this matter at this point in time, and I will always try my best to be as fair as possible, even though I've even lost more confidence in the United National Congress because of this Kaya Sealy scandal that is taking place, and their support for a very rogue, and the government's support for a very rogue TTPS. But getting back to my response, I said, from what I remember, one PNM Patriot received over $30,000 monthly. The Kakash video want to talk about a combined amount of 80-something thousand, right? Which is approximately like about $9,000 each. So I said my response, from what I remember, one PNM Patriot received over $30,000 monthly as a communication consultant. So why is the Kakash media making an issue about this? Each of these individuals, if paid equally, I don't know if they're being paid equally, is receiving a salary of about $9,500 per month. Now, that's a lot of money, I wish I could be getting that. But I would never sell myself out in order to receive a salary from the government whereby I wouldn't be able to hold them accountable anymore. A lot of these activists can no longer criticize the government because they are being paid by the government. And that's why I made it very clear from day one. When people ask me, so if they ask you to get take a position in the government, you know, in any position, no matter how small it is, would you take it? And I said, no, I will not. Because I want to remain independent so that I can hold the government accountable. So I said each of these individuals, if paid equally, is receiving a salary of about $9,500 per month, which is only a fraction of the PNM Patriots' salary. I honestly don't know if I agree, though. I honestly don't know if I agree with hiring these influencers in those positions. But as I said before, logic will tell you that it's because they have a large reach, an audience, a very large audience. And that is why they will be paid to do their job, right? Not to mention, I think they're actually carrying out some official maintenance work as well from what I saw online. But I could be wrong about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. If any of those influencers see my video, they could even correct me if I'm wrong as well. I honestly don't know if I agree with hiring these influencers in those positions, but I'm just highlighting PNM's hypocrisy and double standards when it pertains to this issue. On May 24th, 2026, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service dispersed a public demonstration outside. In other words, they chased protesters. That's what it really means. Dispersed a public demonstration outside the police administration building where citizens had gathered to protest the January 2026 police-involved killing of Joshua Samaru and the subsequent criminal charges laid against his paralyzed partner, Kaya Seeley. Seeley faces arrest warrants for manslaughter in Samaru's death and 3 counts of shooting with intent at police officers, sparking mass public outrage after viral CCTV footage appeared to contradict the initial law enforcement narrative. I watched that video over and over again, countless times, and not once do you see the police officers trying to evade any sort of gunshots, any bullets being fired at them. You don't see them running for cover as Gary Griffith, an actual intelligent man, an expert to an extent when it pertains to these issues. No one saw the police officers flinch. Not even once. They just went like Robocops, like heroes, towards gunfire. That making any sense to any of you UNC patriots outside there? Following the dispersal, the TTPS issued a statement clarifying that while public demonstrations are not entirely outlawed under the state of emergency, all gatherings must strictly conform to the Emergency Powers Regulations 2026. Law enforcement officials maintain that a crowd was cleared due to, listen to this, assessed risks to public safety and order, reminding citizens that emergency regulations grant officers expanded statutory powers to halt assemblies and make arrests without a warrant. Finally, the TTPS warned that breaching these regulations is a major offense, carrying penalties of up to, listen to it, $100,000 in fines and 5 years in prison. Now, people, this is why I was warning against the SOE or the continued extension of these SOEs and imposing of new SOEs, because it would have been, when people talk about, oh, law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear. Yes, because of this same thing. Under the SOE, the police have even more authority to stop you from protesting against the government or any state-owned agency or even a private institution. That's what happens. So it's not just the criminals are being targeted. Law-abiding citizens, just like we were targeted under the mighty Morphin Ghanaian coal pot bicycle, no harm, no macaroni pie, PNM, is happening all over again. I am seeing it more and more. The government is using crime as an excuse in order to enforce a police state upon us. That is what is taking place, and I am not going to support that, and I never will. My response, the same fellow police UNCs, my same fellow UNCs, I went and gathered with on numerous occasions with the ground report. I went and gathered with on about 2 occasions, right? I also protested with the PSA because one of my relatives is a public servant, and I was a former public servant for a very short space of time years ago. But besides that, I went on behalf of the citizens and my sibling, right, to protest for better wages under the PNM, right? So I attended protests when people said, oh, you just a talker, you just a keyboard warrior. No, I used to attend protests. So the same fellow UNCs who condemned TTPS for dispersing protesters, including myself, during Rowley's reign, will now chant, good job, officers. I will never forget one of the times we went to protest. The ground report called us out to protest, and we went, and we were by the savannah. And from the moment Andy Williams and Michael Kirk, and the other guy, I can't remember his name right now. From the time they started to speak, right? From the time they started to speak, police officers, they started to see them coming around, and then they stopped, and they told them they have to leave. And that was the end of the protest. And everyone was angry, and oh, dictatorship. Now you're supporting the same dictatorship. It's nonsense, and it's a hypocrisy. I cannot believe the level of hypocrisy under amongst the same population that I usually stand in solidarity with. I hope they understand that God sees their deceptive and double standard ways. Speaking to UNC supporters right now. He sees the evil within your hearts. We were supposed to be different to the PNM. And yet all you hypocrites are now defending police abuse of authority. Lennox Smith, that was the name I was trying to remember. Lennox Smith, because now it's just Andy Williams and Lennox Smith. Right? The police state narrative has been thrown out the window because we're in charge. They were calling, all of us, including myself, were talking about police state for nearly 5 years, especially the second term under Emperor Thanos Rowley when he was locking us down for over 2 years with the SOE because of COVID. Right? But all that changed now, you know, because we're in charge. So nobody cares about a police state anymore. They're embracing it now. So the police state narrative has been thrown out the window because we're in charge. The heart of mankind, people, is truly deceitful and desperately wicked. That's what the Bible says. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9.
Weather report for Tuesday, 26 May 2026, Trinidad and Tobago. The weather forecast for Tuesday, 26 May 2026 in Trinidad and Tobago predicts fair to partly cloudy skies, with daytime maximum temperatures reaching 31 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius and overnight minimums dropping to 24 degrees Celsius. According to data from the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service (TTMS), there is a significant concentration of Saharan dust present in the atmosphere. Sensitive individuals should take necessary health precautions. Conditions will be breezy throughout the day, and while the day is generally expected to remain fair, brief morning or afternoon showers could pop up over a few areas. Atmospheric and marine conditions. Saharan dust, high dense haze concentration. Air quality is lowered, expect dull skies. Wind speed steady easterly winds blowing at 15 to 25 km/h with higher gusts possible near any localized showers. Marine outlook, sea conditions remain moderate. Open waters will see waves ranging from 2.0 to 2.5 meters, while sheltered areas will stay calm at under 1.0 meter but can turn choppy during gusty winds. Sun time: sunrise is at 5:42 a.m. and sunset occurs at 6:23 p.m.
Regional news now. In a continued effort to strengthen bilateral relations and deliver medical care to underserved regions, the 21st China medical team to Guyana successfully conducted a comprehensive medical outreach in the community of Waya Cabra, Susdike Linden Highway on Saturday, May 23rd, 2026. The initiative, organized at the invitation of the Waya Cabra community, aimed to bridge the healthcare gap for local residents who frequently grapple with long-distance travel and limited local medical infrastructure to access basic health services. Now, that's good news, but I would advise the Ufanali administration to just be careful. It's wonderful to accept assistance from many countries, including China, but always know and just always observe and be careful, because China's objective is always to dominate anywhere they go. Government, we're not talking about the Chinese people. I have ancestry from Chinese ancestry, right, within me. So I have nothing against the Chinese people, but you see the Chinese communist government, very, 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 I dislike them, of course. Chinese communist government. Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, says a portion of funds donated by internal donors will be used to lay the foundation on which container homes will be placed to develop a community in Westmoreland for persons who lost their homes as a result of Hurricane Melissa. Now, it sounds nice, eh? I just hope it will be maintained and the area will be maintained properly. Maybe those containers may be able to withstand storms better in the future. Who knows? Let's just hope so. Let's just hope you're not just wasting money. Holness, who was speaking at the National Labor Day project at the Lewistown Early Childhood Institute in St. Elizabeth, said supporting infrastructure will also be put in place. And that's what I'm saying. So, putting infrastructure in place and as well, maintaining it. Don't make it another ghetto, Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
We're going to use some of that funds now to deal with something that I know you want to hear about. The government promised that we will bring in, we made a promise of about 2,500 modular, semi-permanent, prefabricated housing solutions. through the NHP. Those took time to manufacture and to ship and to clear. It took, I would say, about 3 to 4 months from the time we procured and placed the order to here. The government of China has given us some, the Ministry of Housing has purchased some, and I believe it's the Red Cross that is giving us some as well. So we may get up to about 3,000 units, these modular units. And we are building a small community in Westmoreland to facilitate those persons who were being housed at the Petersfield shelter. So we have the units here now. But again, I want you to think with me, Jamaica. My government is not just going to take the units and come and plop them down anywhere. That wouldn't help. We're not going to do that. Whatever units we put down, there must be on a proper base. Because if you put them down on anything that is not firm and flat, they will warp, defects, and all of that. So we're going to have to build a proper base for them, a concrete base. What about sewage? You think we're just going to give it to you and leave this up? You have to make some arrangement for the disposal of sewage. You might have to give you a little water tank on top of it too, or beside it. You don't think so? Yes. Yes. And so to put all of that together, you're looking at a median cost, meaning an average cost of about 500,000. Depending on where it is, it could be less, it could be more. Now, I want you to stop and think again. If it is not a community we're building and we're going to give one here and one over so and one way up so and one in the next part, how are they going to get there? These huge containers. They have to be transported on specific kind of vehicles and they have to be lifted by crane. So it's not something that you can just do overnight. It has to be planned out. So the funding that is donated will be used to support the establishment of the bases. Because the people who are going to get them, can they build the base themselves? So isn't that the best use of the money? That it is there, will last them for 10, 15 years, other than to just spend it out and then you don't know where it went or what benefit it gave. Think, Jamaica, think. Don't be misled by people who are just seeking political power. Think. Now, we are going to begin that shortly. We have 900 units in the island. And we have gone through, we have found the people who their houses were totally destroyed, they don't have anywhere to live, and they don't have the income to rebuild. We're going to rebuild them and give them those houses.
Barbados Minister of Tourism and International Transport Ian Gooding Edgehill emphasized that the arrival of Nigerian carrier Air Peace will serve as a historic bridge to significantly boost tourism, trade, and investment between Barbados, West Africa, and the wider Caribbean. The airline established a direct commercial flight path connecting Lagos and Accra to Barbados and Antigua, which bypasses traditional lengthy transit routes through Europe or North America, most likely saving on time and money, making it more affordable. Regional tourism officials have highlighted that these direct flights create unprecedented economic and cultural exchange opportunities, effectively tapping into a lucrative emerging African travel market. Very, very true. To maximize this connectivity, the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated has actively scaled up its international promotional campaigns, allowing travelers to access flight options through the mid-2026 travel season. International news now. Construction crews at the White House have officially begun assembling a massive temporary arena on the South Lawn for UFC Freedom Fights 250, a historic mixed martial arts event scheduled for June 14th, 2026. Songs exciting, songs interesting. Workers were seen installing specialized arched lighting rigs for the octagon, which is engineered to keep the presidential residence visible as the live broadcasting backdrop. Promoted as the first professional sporting event ever held on the White House grounds, the card is timed to coincide with Flag Day and the 80th birthday of President Donald Trump. Wow, 80th boy. Blessed age. I hope he lives to see many more years, though. Who personally unveiled the arena's renderings earlier this month. While the 5,000-seat outdoor arena is strictly reserved for invited dignitaries, military personnel, and special guests, the promotion plans to host a massive fan fest on a nearby ellipse to watch the fights live on giant screens. An Iranian official told the Washington Post, the opening of the Strait of Hormuz will be carried out in stages. First, the clearance of mines from the strait, the lifting of the American blockade, and the release of frozen assets worth $12 billion. As I said before, I said recently, up to yesterday, if Trump gives them access to that money, they're going to use it to fund terrorism throughout the Middle East. They're going to give money to Hezbollah, Houthis, and Hamas, what remains of Hamas. The Memorandum of Understanding does not include agreements on the nuclear issue in contrary to what Trump says, but only a commitment to conduct negotiations on the matter later. So you see Trump saying one thing, Iranian officials saying the next, and then everybody has to be wondering what is really going on. Trump continues to play games with terrorists, games that the rest of the world cannot afford to play. A Saudi source told CNN that Saudi Arabia will only normalize relations with Israel once there is an irreversible pathway toward a Palestinian state, stressing that Riyadh's position remains the same as always, despite Trump's suggestion of regional recognition of Israel following a potential Iran deal. You see, Trump thinks that he can just tell everybody what they can or cannot do. I support him when he fights terrorists, but he's living in a reality where he really does believe as though he can just rule all nations and tell them what to do. That's the spirit of the Antichrist. My relatives are very, very correct when they say that. I don't know if he's the actual man of sin, but he definitely shows a lot of the qualities of the man of sin who will believe that he can control everyone, everyone around him. So, but it shows one other thing. It shows that Saudi Arabia and all these other Arab states that pretend to be civil with Israel, they don't actually care about Israel. They don't believe in Israel's rights to that entire portion of land. They don't care that the Palestinians will always want to wage war against the Jewish state of Israel. They don't care about that. All they care about is to force Israel to comply to their demands, to share that land with individuals that want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. So even though a lot of these Arab states will protest the attack that is coming in the Ezekiel 38 war, it's not that they really care about Israel. It's just that they want to play. They want to be politically correct, in other words.
Bible quote of the day. Romans 5:3-8. And not only that, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope. Now hope does not disappoint, because the love of God has been poured out in our hearts by the Holy Spirit who was given to us. For when we were still without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet perhaps for a good man someone would even dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love toward us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.